Alright, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining in. We just got a couple of things I need to finish boxing and fixing up because today's been a crazy day and I'm running a little behind. Overall excited because this guy finally came in the mail and I've been waiting on him for a while. Yeah, for those who know, it's Link from Hyrule Warriors. I like the first Hyrule Warriors game quite a bit actually, and I like the scarf. I think the scarf was a cool touch, as well as the actual armor. Having armor on the character was pretty nice. But thankfully, this guy finally came in so we can get him started. Also got... The official thing was called Snow Blight, but let's be real, this is just evil Snow White with a greatsword. Kind of excited to have these two to become NPCs and characters just for any campaign that I have. I'm kind of excited to see how that goes. So, got these guys. And then, on top of that, I found this at my friend and I went to go to a card shop to get more cards for our Magic the Gathering decks. Found a giant crocodile. I kind of need one of those to kit bash and get going. So, overall, it's been an eventful day. I'm actually quite glad to have had this day off. So, just getting by, getting everything set up, and working on that. I also need to get some super glue to fill in the gaps on this crocodile because so far just kind of dealing with... I don't like how Hasbro does their official models because there's these gaps between segments that are really noticeable. So to kind of fix the gaps on these things, I normally throw in a bunch of super glue to try to fill it so that way when I prime everything and it dries, there's not that much of a gap. Takes a little while, it's kind of tedious to have to do that for every model I buy from the official D&D list of minis, but that's just what you have to do with these things. Not the biggest fan, but just want to make sure I actually get this guy done right. Because the last thing I want is to have that weird, creepy little line behind his neck show up every time I bring him onto the tabletop. I just don't like how it looks. But that's just how it goes. So we got this, and I'm going to do a quick check. Because I like the pose, I like the actual character model for this. I just wish there's something to make his foot a little bit more even, just because that's such a weak and flimsy connection right there. But I did a little bit of cleaning up with my knife. You can definitely see right here there's some gouge marks just because of where the sprues were. Cutting along his face was also kind of scary because I didn't want to cut into his face, but I wanted to get rid of the extra supports that were still there from when he got printed out. So we got that for now. So just gonna toss those to the side for a second, grab a glove, and then I'm gonna start priming this sucker up so that hopefully we can get some painting done later when he's actually dry and ready to go. But we shall see how that goes. But yeah, overall excited to have a new mini, excited that it's Link from Legend of Zelda. I mean, I don't know if for copyright reasons I have to say he's Lonk from Philadelphia, but you guys know what I mean. We got an elven fighter who just happens to have a very iconically decorated sword and shield, so we're just going to go with it. And we're just going to hope that this mini takes to primer easy, because the last thing I want to do is have to spend all night having to do multiple coats on this poor guy, just so that I can get some paint on him. I will say, though, if I could have found Link from Twilight Princess, I probably would have done a Twilight Princess character first. However, this was the first one I found. I did like the first Hyrule Warriors, but that's just because the first Hyrule Warriors was also just nothing but Easter eggs and pandering of like, hey, here's some references from the entire series. Do you remember X? Do you remember Y? Do you remember this? So I didn't expect much from it, but it was fun for what it was. And again, I do like the scarf and how iconic that was. Definitely gave the character a new feel. However, priming him makes me feel like I should just paint his eyes red so we just have Dark Link and call it good there. Very unsatisfying, so I'm not going to do that. But that is definitely an option if I ever want to get another model of this guy for future reference. Don't know, but we shall see. Then thin that off the face so it doesn't glob on. Just thin this all down. Okay. Think the primer, I'm just gonna let the primer dry from there. So hopefully he can be ready soon. Then we're gonna hop into this one. Just get a little bit more primer on my brush because I'm low from getting Link done. I will say it's kind of ironic though. Because I always knew that the Snow White remake movie was going to flop. Had I known it was going to flop as hard as it did, I would have tried to have gotten this model much earlier so I could capitalize on, hey, new movie sucks. Let's paint evil version of her. Because she would have made for a more compelling character. And speculated on how much better she would have done. Because evil Snow White could definitely go places. And this model definitely has some interesting design choices that I do quite like. That would have definitely made for an interesting character. And I'm really excited to throw on the tabletop just to mess with my party. But yeah, if I knew how bad it was going to be, I would have tried to capitalize on it a lot more. Because I think we all saw the Snow White movie was going to be bad. But, you know, things just happen. Things turn bad, things turn good. You never know until they actually release. We could all just tell from the interviews that you're just going to be bad no matter what. Man, this brush is messed up. Okay. Yeah, I figured primer wasn't going to go well on the alligator. Or crocodile, whatever this thing's called. Alright, let's check on this guy. Primer's doing alright. Gonna take a little while for him though. Alright, yep. While we're waiting for the primer to dry on Link, let's get some greens out and see what matches his tunic color the best. Because I don't entirely know what color will be best for his tunic. Especially because with Hyrule Warriors it's a lot brighter than I'm used to. I need to figure out what color is gonna work. Oh gosh, okay. Alright, now I need a big brush. Just get some of this paint out ready. Alright, move this guy to the side just so we can dry off from the primer. And we're going to get this guy started in the meantime because I do need to I need to wait for the primer to finish on Link before I can get him going. I think what I'm going to do is going to leave him here. How much of a bribe do I need to pay to not go to jail this time? Because as a proud Argonian player, I am the weird guy who definitely violated the law, and I need to pay. But I'm either going to pay a bribe or I'm just going to fight my way out. I ain't going to jail. I wouldn't survive in prison. I'm an Argonian. And the Nords are weird. Also, how have you been, Crab? Everything going all right on your end? How much for chicken nuggets? I think I could. I just got paid on Friday, so I could slide you a 20. Oh yeah, that's good to hear, man. Is it a decent job, or is it just kind of a just needed something, I'm working with it as best I can kind of job? Ah, fair enough. I get that. You know what? Somebody has to. And I don't discount gas station pizza. It's the gas station sushi that I always avoid. But on a long road trip, gas station pizza hits when it needs to. So I will thank you for your service, because for the people who've definitely been around the block and needed it, you have saved our asses. Or at least guys like you have saved our asses in the past. So I put respect on it. And I will say for the record, I did start watching the Devil May Cry anime. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a drag to finish that anime. If I can just vent for a bit on that one, because I promised, I think he changed his name, so I don't want to say his name right now, because I don't remember what it is, because I remember his first name is Salashkan. But I promised him I would watch Devil May Cry, and oh my gosh, it's not. Man, I don't know why Adi Shankar gets every series he gets a chance to write for. It always turns into religion bad. But this one takes the case for. Hey, what's up? How's it going, Direwolf? Honestly, I'm only on episode 1 for Devil May Cry for the anime. It's. To me, it's annoying because I am a Christian, and every time Adi Shankar has been given a series, it's always been a series where Christianity has had an influence in it, and he's always been critical of it, which you can be critical of something. That's fine. Hey, 64 subs is great. Congrats. But in Devil May Cry, that series, again, I don't know much about the series. I played a few of the games and I've done some stuff with it, but I was never that into it. But the lore with Devil May Cry, it was never that preachy. It was an action series that was rule of cool over actual in-depth lore, besides essentially Sparta and his sons and his family. It wasn't the most... It wasn't a series that made a point. It was just a series that was there. Like, they never tried to say much with the lore, and it was very basic. Adi Shankar has made the entire series religion bad, because in the past he had Christianity bad, but now it's turned to religion bad on a whole scale. That is kind of annoying, because demons are just convergently evolved humans, so demons aren't the bad guys. But the whole purpose of why Sparta was different and why Dante and Virgil were interesting from Devil May Cry from the storyline in the series was Sparta was the only demon who actually fought against other demons to protect humans. And so Dante carried on that task where Virgil did not. And they fought consistently for it. Devil May Cry just decided, nah, demons are just humans but live in a different plane. And it's very heavy-handed on religion bad. Not just Christianity, but all religions are bad. Because they make demons seem like the bad guys, and humans need religion to define what they don't understand. It's exceptionally preachy that, like, it just feels very heavy-handed. Like, I feel like I'm watching a political commentary more than I am watching an anime about a guy whose entire game series was about styling and beating demons, not by how well or you could survive the fight, but how well you could style on them. You could kill them with style. And so, I'm just not the biggest fan of how Devil May Cry is. But I made a promise I'd watch it, so I'm gonna watch it. But gosh dang, it's gonna be hard to get through it. Because it's so heavy-handed with the religion bad theming. Like, you barely see Dante that much as they go all into religion bad from the first episode. So, I don't know. I definitely don't like it, but gonna have to get through it. And if things work out, by the time I finish it, I'll probably just make a video, like a quick short video reviewing it, just so I can talk about, yeah, this... everything Adi Shankar I'm never gonna believe again, because when the series was when trailers and teasers came out, people made jokes of, we're getting to new levels of religion bad that we've never seen before from them. Well, it's gotten to the point where, like, and I think he even responded and he just said, this feels like a bad faith. My shows don't say religion bad, and every show he has written has been so heavy-handed with religion bad that I just don't know why they're giving him series that have religion if he's going to just make every religion evil. Like, I don't know. Every person has their opinions and they can believe what they want. I don't want to impose on that. But it is annoying when every anime that has even slight leanings towards a Christian-like faith, it's always evil, it's always corrupt, and it's always trying to be a power-hungry, grabbing feudal system like it's out of the 1400s Catholic Church. It's just kind of annoying to deal with that being the only archetype of any sort of Western religion. So, Devil May Cry is definitely not an anime I don't think I'm gonna like it that much. Because for the few moments with Dante in it, Dante's fine. I don't really have any complaints about him so far. It's just more of, I don't like all of the political and religious theming that they're using in that series. It's very heavy-handed. I just wanted to turn my brain off for an action series. Instead, I have to listen to a consistent slop of religion bad, humans are bad, humans make demons look bad, but humans and demons aren't so different. It's like, I'm tired of that, man. I'm just tired of religion bad, and I'm tired of humans and demons aren't too different. There's a time and a place where that was a new series and a new story trope to write, but I am just tired of getting the same thing over and over again now. Just wish somebody would do, like, at least if one anime could do like a Western or Christian themed religion that wasn't insanely corrupt but actually altruistic and good, it'd be nice. It'd be a change of pace, because so far all of them just say Christianity bad or church that symbolically looks and acts like the Catholic Church is incredibly bad. You know, just one series. Just a breath of fresh air. Nobody has to do that, so I'm not gonna force them to. but it would be nice to get a breath of fresh air. But that's just kind of my rant on Devil May Cry so far. It's not so much that I inherently hate it. I'm just not exactly the biggest fan. However, on to better news. For things that I actually enjoy, I have been really enjoying watching Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. IBO has been really fun. I've really been enjoying the theming and how they've really worked in the child soldiers and how it's a coming-of-age story in a military merc group. That has been fun. I've really enjoyed that. So, for a good recommendation that I would say, Gundam has been really good. I started watching Season 2 of Iron-Blooded Orphans, and I've also been watching the 08th MS team. Both have been fairly good. I do like them quite a bit, so I would definitely recommend them. But that's just kind of what I've been watching recently. I do need to watch and get caught up on the other series that I do need to watch, but bit by bit, I'll figure it out and I'll get them done when I have time. But yeah. I mean, the blue-gray is coming out okay on this guy, but I need to figure out how I'm going to make this all pop. Because the idea behind this guy, and again, I'm not trying to clickbait everybody, I am going to get Link done later, it's just I'm waiting for the primer to dry on this little guy before I start painting on him, so that way the paint actually goes on evenly. In the meantime, I'm just trying to get this guy done. At least I'm trying to get a base coat on him. And my initial idea was, I looked up the official color scheme for Umber Hulks in D&D. I really hate how they look, because they're all just that weird desert brown that you see on like military uniforms. I just don't like how it looks. So I want to change this guy up a little bit, and looking at him from his body and his proportions kind of reminded me of Cocytus from Overlord. And so I'm just trying to emulate his color scheme. So I'm doing a gray base coat, and I'm going to do some, let me just grab the paint. On top of the gray, I'm going to throw on a layer of the magic blue speed paint to give him a bit of like a shiny blue carapace look, because that just seems cooler to me than just doing desert stone brown. Because sandstone isn't a bad color necessarily, but if I have a giant four-legged arm creature, I don't want to paint him the same color as dry dirt. It's just not appealing. So that's what I'm working with right now. But yeah, so at this point I kind of wish I had some extra melee weapons I could just glue in or put into his hands, because I feel like getting some melee weapons would definitely give more of the Cocytus feel to him. However, I am not good enough at kit bashing to make weapons that fit into his hands, especially because all of his hands are open in this pose, so it's kind of difficult to work that in naturally. But yeah, that's just been my rants. Besides that, though, everybody else doing good today? Saw that we've had some good things been happening for everyone else, and I do hope it keeps continuing, just because I might be a little negative right now, but I'm mostly just salty. Which I shouldn't be, because besides watching an anime that I didn't like the theming of, today has been good. I got to play Magic the Gathering with a few friends. Went out to a card shop to buy some cards because I'm trying to buy a new Magic deck. I want to make a Voltron deck with a crab character known as Charix, who, coincidentally, Charix, when the SpongeBob set came out, was reprinted into Mr. Krabs. Have I watched Mashal? Yep, I've seen season 1 and 2. Absolutely loved Mashal. Mashal's one of my favorite series in recent years, just because they knew the assignment, they knew the gimmick they were working on, and I do enjoy how they played with Mashal as a character. They took the magic school trope, flipped it on its head, and I really liked it. Yeah. I can see why. They both play with an overpowered physical hero element, and it works really well. They know the audience and they know the characters that they're trying to spoof, that it's very well done. I like how Mashal is. I mean, I kind of wish certain things happened differently, but they definitely did a really good job with it, and I liked it a lot. But I think Mashal worked really well for me, because they really made a character out of him. He felt one note at first, but he definitely developed into more. Because one thing that my friends and I really liked about Mashal whenever we talked about that series was how his obsession with cream puffs just made him stand out a lot. It was very fun just to have a random gym bro who his only obsession and cooking ability was, I need to have calories. Cream puffs. That's the perfect amount of calories. Yeah, he is Saitama Jr. Absolutely. Gosh dang, I'm almost out of this paint. I thought I threw enough globs onto my wet palette, but I think I'm gonna need more if I want to get this coat evenly done. Oh, that's tragic. Yeah, that was a good moment. It really showed his obsession in a good way. I appreciated it a lot. Okay. I think I'm going to mix this gray with some silver just to give that sword a bit of more of a pop. But I think he's dry enough that we can start experimenting with the greens to see which one fits his tunic better. All right. Space Patrol Luluco. No, I have not. I haven't even heard of that one. What's that about? All right. Try this green first, see how that works. Oh, it was by Studio Trigger? Okay, I do like Trigger's art style and how dynamic their character movements are. Gosh dang, this paint is thin. But I think this is a decent green color. At least I'm going to try to base coat them, see how it all dries once I get it all evenly layered. Yeah, that sounds like Trigger, alright. Fast-paced and wacky is their go-to, but I like how they handle it, so I'll have to definitely I'll have to look into it, because I could definitely use something wacky. Because so far with the series I've been watching, they've all been super serious for the most part. That having a little bit of brevity and something a little bit more lighthearted would be fun. Because something being wacky and full of whimsy, definitely nice palate cleanser from time to time. Okay. I mean, I liked Soul Eater, so the main character turning into a gun is more of a point of interest than a turn-off for me. So I'll definitely have to look into that. Yep, it's Link. This is a model I found off of Etsy that I was super excited for because I like Hyrule Warriors, and most of the people in my D&D party have played at least a Legend of Zelda game. So finding Link as a mini was one I was very excited for. And Hyrule Warriors Link having the scarf was just kind of cool anyway. So I got this guy. If I could, I would have gone for a Twilight Princess Link, because that's my favorite Zelda game. But the fact I could even find a Link model was cool enough to me that I knew I was getting this guy. However, this green is very, very thin. Much more thin than I thought, which is kind of hard to layer because it's kind of spotty. Honestly, that's fair. Legend of Zelda, it's kind of hard because Legend of Zelda has been an odd series because they used to come out with a new Legend of Zelda pretty frequently, as it was one of Nintendo's like mainline series that always sold well. But they went from they kind of went from a weird spot because they did Skyward Sword And Skyward Sword was controversial because of the reliance on the motion controls, and because in the original, like, the motion controls were so jank on the Wii that you had to buy a separate controller, the Wii Motion Plus, to even play it. Before that was Twilight Princess, which is one of my favorite games of the series and one of my favorite games of all time. But Twilight Princess is also controversial in its own right because of how it came out. But between those games that were praised and also a little controversial when they came out, we didn't have a mainline Zelda game that was super big until Breath of the Wild. But Breath of the Wild really changed the formula, and a lot of old school fans like myself did not like Breath of the Wild that much. It's a fun game mechanically, I just don't enjoy it as a Zelda game. Just because again, the first Zelda game I played was Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess was a very linear, story-based game that was focused on how power corrupts people who desire and seek power. Power is not something that you just have and control. If you're not careful, power controls you. There's a responsibility to the power given to you and to the name and legacy you carry. And so that was a very story-heavy game. And then Breath of the Wild was just, hey, we don't have much of a story. Just run out in the wilderness, find things, blow things up, call it good. I just didn't like it that much. Because with Zelda, from me playing Twilight Princess and it being my favorite, it's something that just had meaning and a story. And it tried to stick with you because there was a good theme underlying everything. Breath of the Wild really just was an open world game of explore, find secrets, unlock things. But Zelda games beforehand were kind of the whole thing was what I call puzzle combat. You got new items and equipment, and you were taught how to use your items in dungeons to kill different enemies that sometimes you just couldn't kill by swinging your sword wildly. And I liked that how they built that mechanic. And then Breath of the Wild kind of just went, yeah, just swing your sword. Maybe freeze them in place, maybe use your environment, but you just need to swing your sword. That's all you need to do. Tears of the Kingdom at least let you build mechs and tanks, so there's a different way to go about it. But I wasn't the biggest fan of that. Yeah, Power is living with Denji. And yeah, you don't control her at all. She definitely... Power is very much like the cat that she adopted. They just do their own thing and you just gotta work with it. That's kind of what it is. Breath of the Wild was a good revolutionary Wii U game. But it didn't carry the Zelda formula in the way that a lot of old school fans liked. Because the dungeons weren't big, they weren't fun. They were just kind of there. And they didn't rely on gimmicks and they weren't that interesting. Tears of the Kingdom, they put in a lot more effort into the dungeon design, so I do give them credit because it definitely felt more Zelda-like. But I also didn't even buy Tears of the Kingdom, I just watched my friend play it because she streamed it. Because I just didn't like Breath of the Wild enough to get Tears of the Kingdom, which was essentially just more of the same story. Basically, gameplay of Breath of the Wild is you can go to... Here's 4 main objectives that link to the main objective in the center of the map. If you go to the center of the map, everything's harder. if you go to the 4 main objectives first, they make the main objective easier. You run around, your weapon breaks, so you never have a reliable weapon for the entire game. You're given an iPad with some magic in it. Good luck, figure things out from there. There isn't much of a story. Like, the look of it is good, but there isn't much of a story, and it's just a giant barren open world. And I've never liked open world games. I like linear story-focused games. I've never been an open world kind of guy. I think open world is fine, depending on the game genre and how you go about it, it can work. I just personally have never liked open world games, and so I've never really saw the appeal of Breath of the Wild as much as others. I understand why people like it, but it was never my thing. Now comes the fun part. How do I want to do this guy's pants? Because my regular go-to would be using Wraithbone, but this is Hyrule Warriors Link, so I need to be careful about the brands and how the pants look. Because I think I got a decent blue for this. Because I think somewhere between these two blues, I should be able to get the scarf color right on this guy. Might be closer to Teclis Blue or Calidor Sky, but we're gonna have to experiment a bit, because I haven't used these blues or all of my greens that much. I also haven't played the original Hyrule Warriors game in years. I think the last time I played it was 2016? I think it was 2016? I played at my friend Austin's house. He owned that game. I didn't have a Wii U, so I never could get it. But I'm going to start with Teclis Blue and see if that works. Yeah. It's kind of because Breath of the Wild, again, it was a good Wii U game. For the Wii U, it was a good open world game, and it had a very interesting opening that got people invested. Except, if you're used to what the Zelda series did before, it probably felt weird getting into Breath of the Wild just because it was different than every other Zelda game beforehand. It definitely felt like a return to form with the original Zelda game, which, cool for the people who played the original Zelda game. Breath of the Wild definitely had some similarities from the original, if you liked that nostalgia bait. The only problem is, again, the combat really took a nosedive compared to previous titles. Because Breath of the Wild's combat really turned into, you have the bow, and you get different weapons that have different attack patterns. However, the weapons will break after use, and you can't fix them, you can't repair them, so once your favorite item is gone, it's gone forever. Even the Master Sword, which up until Tears of the Kingdom was always an unbreakable sword that you had to get because it was the Bane of Evil's blade, that one would power down after uses, and so you never had a consistent or constant weapon with you, and it was just kind of annoying. I know for a lot of people, we started using the Master Sword to chop down trees because once it lost power, it would regenerate power after a certain time passed. So you chop trees with it, use your actual weapons for combat, call it good. The combat really held Breath of the Wild back for a lot of people who are returning to the series. And so I'm hoping that we get a more older Zelda-style game in the future, because I liked the complex puzzles, I liked the puzzle combat, I liked how the dungeons worked. And Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom just weren't my style. I'm not saying they're bad games, just not my cup of tea. However, I didn't even try Echoes of Wisdom just because Echoes of Wisdom was cute. I just didn't have a whole lot of excitement to try it out. But yeah, Breath of the Wild's open world, the whole thing was, it's 100 years after an apocalypse happened, and so a lot of the world was just barren. And that's kind of to the detriment of it, because Breath of the Wild, well, from the Legend of Zelda series in general, was known for a beautiful landscape and a vast world that was interesting to explore with. But because it was linear or focused in size, they had good details and there was always something to find. Breath of the Wild really just was kind of there, but because it was after an apocalypse, they kind of had an excuse to not invest time into detailing things as much. Because, again, it's not a bad world. To me, it was just uninteresting because, for the most part, yeah, it's the same map. It's the same location. There's not much of a difference that makes it all that interesting. So, definitely not the game for me. I tried. I played the first one. Didn't get the second one. Saw somebody else play it. Just kind of wrote it off. But that's just how it goes. Hey Grayson, how's it going? Da, da, da. How long have I been painting for? I started earlier this year in January. For Christmas, my friend bought me bought me a kit. So it came with a mini its own paint set, and that was this one. This was the first guy I ever painted. Turns out I really liked painting, so I gave it a try, and now I'm working on stuff like this, where throwing a lot more details, a lot more effort, and it's a little bit more complicated. But I've been enjoying it a lot since I started. But I'm very new to painting. Thanks. Just been trying to get this guy done because right now I'm running a game as a DM for Dungeons and Dragons with my friends, and having Link be an NPC as a mercenary, I think would just be funny to throw him off their game. So we'll see how it goes. If all fails, maybe I'll. Honestly, I just found that the part of putting a model together and then painting it is just something that it's calming to me. It's very therapeutic. So maybe it's just because I don't want to go to therapy, but I find this very calming and relaxing, and I enjoy it a lot. But I'm also very new to it. So There's definitely things I gotta learn, things I gotta figure out, things I gotta do better, but overall, just as a new hobby, I've been enjoying it a lot. It also feels good just to be able to make and do something with my hands that feels substantial. Because I know with my past few jobs, I've been working in mostly just been electronic paper files, and I really just want to be able to create something with my hands that feels tangible, but that I can also put some joy into. But you never know until you try something. I would always say just go for it, try your best, and give it a shot. You never know what happens. Because even if you don't have a whole lot of patience, there's something that can always surprise you. Yeah, go for it. However, I will also admit by bias, when I'm with my friends, I am always the voice of indulgence. I will always tell you to full send and try it out. Just because life is about experiencing things, and you can't experience things if you never give it a shot. So, I will always tell you to full send, so I'm very biased. Thank you kindly. But yeah, all good, man. Life is always full of surprises, so just be open to whatever surprises come your way. This might have been unexpected, but you know what? Sometimes the best things in life are unexpected. Much as I personally hate surprises, surprises can be good. It just depends on the context and how it's done. So, take care, man. I don't know. It's definitely. It's always fun to see new people around and for people to swing by and chat. But, yeah. Okay, now I need to get the front of the scarf, which is the part I've been dreading the most. Because this is incredibly tiny. I really don't want to get... Ah, crap, his earrings are on this model. That means I'm going to have to paint the earrings too. No, I was hoping it'd be too small. Well, thank you kindly, man. Peace out, take care, and I do hope you have a good night. But let me know if you ever paint anything. I'd always be down to see it. Because I'm still new to this hobby in general. And so, seeing people post their models and talk about them always gets me excited, because I like to see how people go about doing certain things. Everybody's got a method to their madness. And I just happen to be mad in general, so... You know, I will say, looking at this feels like it's almost perfect for the coloration on that scarf. I didn't expect it to be, but it really is working much better than I expected, so that's a very pleasant surprise. However, I do need to fix the Master Sword, and I need to get... I also need to get started on his pants. I also have to do a yellow outline on the bottom of his tunic, because I know that in Hyrule Warriors he has a little yellow line going right on the hem of the green tunic. That's right above the chainmail. So that's definitely something I have to work on, but I think we take a pause from the scarf, and I think I can just focus on getting the metal, so give me a few seconds. I just need to get some paint out my wet palette. We're gonna try a few things. Oh, that's why that paint's thin. That's a giant puddle of water. Okay. Ta-da. I just had that paint out earlier. Where did I throw it? There it is. Okay. Okay. Let's try this out and see how this color looks on the Master Sword, because the original color attempt was not the best. I'm gonna have to thin that out a bit. I don't want it to be too thick, but man. Combining with silver metallic paint is always difficult, because it's exceptionally thin, but I want it to blend with this gray so that the sword has a bit of a glowing blade effect to it. Okay. I think that's definitely got a... With the silver, it definitely... I don't know if the camera picks it up as well, but it definitely... the blade shines a bit better now. That's kind of what I was hoping for. Just trying to mix the gray with the silver just so that way it's not super bright, but that it has a bit of a silver blue glow to it. I might also see if a thin layer of some speed paint might give it a nice blue. I don't know. But first, I'm going to try and get a little bit of that same silver here on the edge of the shield. Okay. Well, the outer edge definitely, I think, looks good with this, so I think the gray was a good call to mix with the silver. So, the blade, the outline of the shield I'm okay with. Now just comes... I'm going to need a thinner brush if I want to get that pauldron done, because that one is tiny. But I need to get that pauldron done too. Okay. Okay. That's too much, so we're gonna have to thin that down a bit more. Carefully push that around. Now I need to figure out how I'm going to do the hair. Because the best yellow I have right now is Uriel yellow, which is very vibrant. I'm thinking of maybe trying to dull it by mixing in a bit of Baylor brown, so that maybe these two might give it more of a blonde look than a bright yellow. At least that's what I'm hoping for, cuz this is Hyrule Warriors Link. He had very blonde hair. Twilight Princess was dirty blonde, but in this one, he was a blonde through and through. That Californians would be jealous of how bright his hair is. And if I want to get these golden locks right, I really need to figure out a ratio to make this work. But we shall see. Let's try getting some of this in my palette first. Okay, some of that. Clean off my brush. Ooh, that yellow is super bright. Okay. Well, the yellow is definitely more subdued by the brown. Let's see if this actually sticks, though. Because there's a chance this does not work. Ah, crap. No, get off the sword. Oh, boy. Well. I'm going to have to paint over that again. That's annoying, but it happens. Alright, well. Let's try not to have my brush go to a wall again. Because the yellow does work well enough. I will admit, I was really scared about how this hair was going to turn out. I think it's turning out just fine for this character's incarnation. think I'm just gonna do a careful little line across and give him a unibrow for now, just so that way we can make sure that his eyebrows are correctly colored in. So that way when I go back and do the face, I just have to paint around the eyebrow. Because this was an interesting color to have to make on the fly, but I like how it turned out for the hair. So we're gonna move on to the pants. We'll see how that goes. Okay. I'm gonna try the khaki color. Hopefully it works well enough for the pants. Because I know this khaki color likes to come up a bit green, so I hope it's not too green. But we shall see. All right. Yeah, this is gonna take a couple of coats. What scares me is having to draw on the bird symbol, because that's going to take a while. to get red on that shield. Also, having to paint the symbol on this side of the scarf is going to be hard. But it'll definitely be cool if I can pull it off decently. Just going to take a lot of precise work, which is not something I'm known for. Not with paintbrushes, anyway. Okay. I think I can switch, and I just need to find a brown so I can start getting all those details done. Because I need to get the leather parts going. I should probably also put my paint handle to use. Might be a good idea because I do have that. But the only brown I have is mahogany brown, so I'm hoping that works well enough for the darker brown leather that he has for his kit. But we shall see. If it doesn't work, it does not work, and we just try again with something different. Though I find that I fall back on mahogany brown quite a bit. Alright. All right. Well, that's gonna be a few more layers I gotta go over on that part. Thought I had it. I was wrong. Okay. Got a decent amount done. I'm gonna try for the shield back, which I don't quite know how to approach. Because for the most part, I've been lucky on getting decent colors for him that mostly fit. But the base of that shield, I know I have to use something different than the actual blue for the scarf. But I'm not sure what blue I have that would work, because I've got my Crag blue, which is a fairly darker one. Then I also have Calidor Sky. I'm not entirely sure which one would be more appropriate, but I'm going to err on the side of caution first, and I'm going to try my Crag blue on the shield just to see if that works. Okay. Alright. We're going to call that decent on the shield for now. I still need to get some details picked out. But first, we're going to get the handle to the Master Sword colored out right. Thankfully, I shouldn't need a whole lot of purple to get the hilt for the Master Sword. But, just gonna get a decent amount on there just in case, because I can always make a mistake. I do that quite frequently, much to my dismay. Okay. Hilt's good. We're just gonna go back to the hair to get a few more coats on, because there's still that splotch of green on his hair there, and I need to get that done. But so far I'm liking how he's turning out. I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to do with the pose being this dynamic, but so far I like it. Just more of, right now, layering everything and to not accidentally tap the wrong places with my brush again. Okay. A little bit of brass. Hopefully to get that shield to pop out a bit. Alright. Gonna get a base layer down and then throw on some flesh shade to get his actual skin color thrown on. All right. Gonna get a few details touched up from some bad brush path taps. Mainly just fixing his pants, getting his tunic redone. Then I think I might just call it there for tonight. Because I'm struggling to keep my eyes open. Last thing I need is to accidentally blink and mess up some details on this guy. Because so far I have been loving how this guy's turning out. And I do not want to run the risk of making a mistake now that I'm this far in. Then also I got the Star Fox 64 theme stuck in my head, and I need to get something else playing so I can get it out. Okay. Alright. I think I'm going to use some Null oil just to fill in the gaps and make the base pop out a bit more. And I think I'm going to call it good there. I need to throw the actual skin tone on his face when everything dries up there. And I want to do a better layer of the brass on the Triforce imagery. I also got the red markings and the bird that I have to put on both the scarf and the shield, so that's going to take a while. So I'm going to get a little bit of shading done. Just the recesses of this. Not what I intended with it, but I'm okay with what it is so far. So, got a few more details I got to finish up on this guy, mainly on his face, his eyes, and then getting that pattern on the shield and the scarf done. But overall, been having a lot of fun with this guy. I'm really excited to see where this goes and how this all turns out. But thank you guys for tuning in, for hanging out, talking, and just taking your time out of your day. I appreciate it. Take care, and I'll see you guys whenever I see you next. Peace.